3, 2, 1. Relax.
Hey guys, welcome back. That was fun. Calling Nicole the wrong name. I was like, we're here with Nicole Culver. She's like, my name's Nicole. And that's how we started.
Last names though.
We weren't made to know everybody's last name. And I know, but I know her, which is even more embarrassing.
Oh, it happens. It's life. You know, real friends don't care.
You are so optimistic. In the last 8 seconds that I've gotten to know you,
Sure.
I really have
somebody else
feelings for you.
Somebody else who doesn't even have a last name. I just go by JR.
So this is JR Jackson. You do only go by JR.
Yeah.
Like I had to do some extra work to find your last name.
Good luck.
Is it Jackson?
It's not even Jackson. I just go
Really?
by.
For 2 today.
I just go by JR. No, my last name isn't. It's not public like that. You'd really have to go digging and searching.
Okay, so it's like Kramer. We didn't know his first name.
Yeah, just call me JR Kramer. I think I fit the Kramer.
Do you not like your last name?
No, I love my last name. My last name is Roberts.
It's a beautiful name.
Oh, thank you. But you know what it does? It does keep people from snooping too hard into who I am and where I'm at.
Oh, okay. So that's different. So that's the goal.
Hey, JR, I heard you said the Chicago Bulls are terrible this year. Oh yeah, I saw you were hanging out by the Water Palace Tower on Michigan Avenue.
Gotcha.
Yeah, okay. I Snapchat 5 minutes ago. Let me go say what's up to JR real fast.
Understood.
It doesn't happen. It has never happened. But I value just people talking to me about sports. I love it. As opposed to saying, and you know, where did you go to school? And I know who this is.
Right.
I have no problem sharing that. But I just like being a sports guy on the internet. That works for me.
So JR is a sports personality who was basically, I want to say like you crafted and then created sort of a career for yourself and then went out and lived it.
Yes,
And
still living.
it's really impressive only because it is really hard to make inroads now with the way our media is set up with digital and online and television and cable. I mean, it's saturated. So for someone to come along and say, but what if I did this and marketed this and branded this with my sports background, I'm going to create it, I'm going to sort of make these roads, and then I'm going to go out and live it and be successful. So tell people a little bit about sort of what you're doing and what I'm talking about.
Well, you know, there's no barrier to entry. I mean, as we sit here, we have the phones and the technology. I think all of this is cool because there's no barrier to entry. I mean,
Right.
Similar to what you're doing with your show. When I started JRSportBrief, I took a camera, a Sony Handycam, out of my closet and I stuck it on a snack table and I just riffed on Gary Sheffield. And that was pretty much it. And I kept posting videos. And I said, you know what, I don't want to go ahead and just get thrown on TV. I want to carve my own niche and do something that's more oriented towards fans and normal people. You know, when you have sports, everybody's a know-it-all.
Yeah.
And when you think about sports personalities, they're really know-it-alls. You know, you'll hear Stephen A. Smith and he's yelling, he's screaming A. Stephen or whatever they used to call him in the day. You're screaming Stephen. You hear Mike Francesa, they call this guy the Pope.
Right.
I said there's a huge niche here for me to crawl into, dig a hole, open it up, and live in just by starting online and being a little bit more relatable. So being able to show people that, hey, I'm an ordinary dude and I'm going to help provide access from the fans to the athletes and a lot of these experiences and then vice versa. And so that's what I've been doing the past bunch of years and been able to check out Super Bowls and Final Fours and Olympics and go to places like India and was in Brazil last year for the Olympics and in the London Olympics and just make cool relationships with the athletes and the teams.
And this is all based on Connor that I think died.
I know.
This is all just from you making your way.
This is it's a relationship-based situation in business.
Yeah, it is.
You know, one thing that I always try to be careful about is who and what and where I align myself, especially because I'm not a quote-unquote traditional journalist.
Yeah.
You know, I went to Baruch and studied marketing. If I was going to go to St. John's and study journalism, I would have went and got a degree in communications or journalism, etc. I would have applied to the Daily News or wherever it is. I would have been a credentialed media member. And the whole structure and rigidity of doing that would have limited what I've been able to do from a marketing and business standpoint. For instance, if I'm writing for the New York Times or the Daily News, I have to have a more formal relationship with everyone.
Yes, you do.
So I cannot work with brand Jordan and then write about Derek Jeter and then be Derek Jeter's friend and then pal with the Yankees. By kind of remaining independent and working more on the entertainment content side,
do that stuff.
I can have the relationships with the brands, the athletes, the agents, the teams, etc., and kind of do multiple things as opposed to just, hi, I'm JR. This is what's going on here.
Did you know this is what you wanted to do or how you wanted to do it when you came out of college? Were you like, this is my plan? I mean, I don't know how long ago it was. This is only, what, 5 years old, this whole platform?
I started towards when I was finishing in college. I was working with my uncle on a show called Man and Wife. My uncle's a DJ here in New York named Fat Man Scoop. And so
see, that's a great name.
Fat
Man
Scoop.
Scoop. You don't even need a last name when your name is Fat Man Scoop.
He used to just eat ice cream as a kid. And so I grew up around him, and then I was helping out as I could, just as I got older, more and more responsibility from helping him out in the studio and things like that, carrying things, menial tasks that nobody wants to do when they're 17, but it was a cool environment to learn and be around. And then I helped him out on a podcast that he had called Man and Wife. And I helped him do the online marketing when it was just like MySpace, and Twitter, and all of this other stuff. I ended up interning at Vibe, and then I always knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur and work in marketing. And the guy who managed my uncle was another guy named Charlie Stetler, who came out of hip hop, but also played professional football in Switzerland. He was on the Swiss national team.
Okay.
And him and I hit it off. And he introduced me to another guy named Fred Seibert, who started an internet video company that was all about online content. He did like Obama Girl and things like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then he said to me, hey, why don't you just start your own show? Instead of, working with everyone else and doing that, he said, take those same principles and, go do your own thing. If it's successful, we'll come back and help distribute you. And then from there, I just went ahead.
And what was the decision to focus on sports?
That's a good. Not too many people ask me that because I have tons of interests. I like cooking. I like travel. I like a lot of things.
You have to know a lot about something to really focus on it day to day, and then get into back yourself up in arguments with people and really have conviction.
It's something that I knew I could work on every day. That's innate to what I do and what I've done my whole life. I never played any organized sports, but I certainly would go outside and play basketball. I grew up playing tennis. I would run around like every other kid.
Yeah.
I would check the physical box score at the Daily News and end up with the ink on my hand. So I knew people's stats, where they were going, and what they weren't doing, et cetera, et cetera. So for me to now add a business layer to it, and then also mess around in technology, all of that was like a piece of cake. It was just like a merging of everything that I enjoyed, from technology, photography, video, marketing, sports, and it's just like, okay, this is a perfect marriage for me to do something where I'm not going to be just like pulling my hair out every day going, oh my God, why am I doing this?
You started on YouTube?
Started on YouTube. First video was about Gary Sheffield, urging him to retire. Like 3 days later, he actually signed with the New York Mets.
Way to go.
I did a good job there. He didn't listen. The funny thing is, 4 years after that, and I said, hey man, we were talking. I said, hey, this is who I am. This is what happened. And it was on camera. I said, do you forgive me? And then he didn't know who I was or what it was, but he was just like, yeah, man, I forgive you. I was like, yeah, I was ripping you to shreds, and this is what you did. He said, yeah, man, I forgive you. I'm happy you hit.
Awesome.
So that was kind of cool.
So then it started off with ripping on Gary Sheffield, and then every day, people always want to know, like, every day you did something else, and just were consistent with it.
Every day. I've started doing work now with SNY here in New York on SNY TV. So I've had folks who reach out to me when I have posted on YouTube, because I can't do it as frequently. I'm going to ramp that back up. Folks go, hey man, where were you? We were looking for you on this and that and that. And I said, it's easy. You're not on my Snapchat. You're not following me on Instagram. There's a lot of content that still goes out all over the place. I was firing out videos every day. So if Kobe Bryant, God forbid, snapped his Achilles, I had a video up on it. If Floyd Mayweather Jr., knocked some guy out illegally when he turned his head, Ortiz, and I had a video. And that was the essence. It was like, this is the sport brief. What happens, and I'm gonna put it out.
So you do TV, you do digital, you do social media, like live streaming. I mean, today alone, you're here, you're at Citi Field, like, well,
Right.
it's hard.
Yes.
You're busy.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
It's a one-man game. And I have my partner Charlie helping me out, but we're in the process of expanding because there's so many opportunities, especially as the space has continued to change. When I started JRSportBrief, which was not long ago, I could have contacted the Yankees and said, hey, this is what I do and this is what I think you guys can do, and they would have looked at me like, huh? Like what? Like, what's that? They weren't even letting traditional, everything I do is primarily video. They weren't letting in, writers or bloggers who already had huge audiences.
Right.
And it's amazing how fast everything has, I wouldn't say shifted, but it's kind of evened out. And it's kind of moving like this, where you look at an entity like the New York Daily News, and they know that they have to push out digital content, well, they're kaput. There is going to be no New York Daily News.
That's what we're sort of heading towards.
Yes, and it's something that's amazing that has happened in just 4 years,
Right.
3 years. A team like the Sacramento Kings they do great on digital. Clemson University, they do great on digital.
That's so random, Clemson and the Kings.
Well, Clemson is pretty good on the sports side, but when you're the Sacramento Kings, you got no choice. You gotta make some
You gotta
type
do
of,
something.
you gotta do something fun because the product on the floor is not getting the job.
Not since my boy White Chocolate played for the Sacramento Kings.
Jason, he's gonna do that Ice Cube 3-on-3. I'm almost certain he's in it.
I watched that whole interview. Ice Cube came on. Whose show was it? And he talked all about it. I think it was these guys. No, it was Shannon and Skip.
He was on every
He must have
show
gone everywhere for it.
helping promote that. He was here in New York on the
Wait, is Jay gonna play or he's gonna coach?
I'm not sure. I feel I can't see him coaching. Like, I can't see him
Me
on the
neither.
sideline going,
No.
I'm gonna tell him where to pass.
Yeah.
I can only see him out there just like
Take the
giving
ball.
elbow
Right,
passes
yeah.
to folks.
Yeah, that's true.
That's about all I can
But
see.
they got like AI involved in that. They got a lot of
No,
names.
it's fun. A lot of these type of leagues, you hear about them. They pop up year to year, and they do small scale. But I think Ice Cube, having the relationships that he has and the access, he's able to really pull it together. Because I can think of tons of leagues that come 3-on-3. I'm surprised a lot of the brands, and I know now even Mountain Dew is doing something similar, that they haven't capitalized on this space. Because basketball isn't something that stops. It doesn't matter if you're outside or inside.
Right.
People just play basketball all year long.
And they like watching it. I think we watch one celebrity tournament around the All-Star game. They could easily do more charity events or any kind of tournament.
Absolutely.
Like they should do a celebrity, like an NCAA tournament, but with like celebrities on the team, and then like everyone vote for it.
Who?
Like an NCAA tournament, but with everyone makes a 4-man team.
Like stacking it up like the tournament.
Yes.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
And then let the country like get involved in it. There's so many celebrities that or other athletes that would love to play basketball. I don't know.
Nah, it's true. It's facts.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up right in the Bronx.
Right here.
Boogie down, boogie down. I
Nice.
spent almost all of my time in life growing up in the Bronx and then being in Manhattan. So I grew up in the Bronx. When it was time to go to high school, I went to Murray Bergstrom High School,
Okay.
right down near the Brooklyn Bridge. And that is a basketball factory for girls basketball, at least when I was there. And they actually just went back to the city championship and they lost to a school from Brooklyn. But when I was there, we had folks like Shannon Bobbitt who went to play for the Los Angeles Sparks. We had people like Crystal McFadden, Epiphany Prince, who played in Chicago and came here to New York. They just pushing out folks. So they would play after school, and if I was still in school, I stepped away from the court.
Wow.
Because Shannon will go play up at the Rucker, and she'll like light people up. It doesn't matter who you are, your gender. It's just like, I don't need to be out here getting crossed up by Shannon Bobbitt. And this is pre, Twitter and World Star and all these other things. I didn't need that.
Did you have this same personality when you were in high school? Like, did your folks get a sense of what you were going to eventually do?
Well, I'm into so many things. Like, somebody asked me a while ago, just like, hey, what are you into in school? And I said, I didn't hang out with a particular group. Like, I went to school and I wanted to go home, partially because I live way uptown in the Bronx. I was just cool with everybody.
Yeah.
It was just like, hey, how you doing? What's going on? And if there was something that interested me, I went towards it. But I was just kept to myself and went this way, but went there. But then went there. I would be hanging out in the lunchroom one day, but saying I want to go to the library and mind my business the next. I may be with a teacher learning something extra in class. I may be outside playing sports. I may not go to school part of one day. You know, I was just all over.
But that feeds into who you are and how you broke into the business and how you convince people to like trust you and believe in you.
I'm sharing. I'm not ignoring. This is how we do things here.
Wouldn't it be funny if you just started playing? Have to do it. There's no the days of waiting for someone to hand you a contract at a TV station. That's not happening anymore. You kind of have to make and pave your own road, and then first go and try to run it down.
You know what it is, and this is the next step. It's almost a consolidation, because there's so many opportunities, and the barrier entry is, I don't want to say lower, it's open now, and there's so many people and so many different platforms. We've started to see it with a lot of the larger media companies, and I think it's going to start trickling down just in regards to consolidation of content. You know, if I go to an event, it's like, okay, we got Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, this and this and this and this and this and this. I think over a little bit of time, we're going to see a little bit more of a consolidation.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a little bit easier. There's always going to be noise, because technology will not allow anybody to walk that back.
Right.
We're not going to go back to 3 TV stations,
Right.
4 radio stations. Those days are over. But I think over time, it's going to be a little bit easier to kind of say, okay, this is here, and then we have almost, it's like going into a buffet over there.
I like buffets.
I do too.
I like food. I'm a
I
big
like
eater.
to eat.
Big eater.
It doesn't look like it. I like to eat.
No, it does not look like you do. What advice would you give to someone who wants to do what you're doing right now? I get asked all the time, my kid really wants to get into this, my cousin really wants to do this. What advice would you have for them? So I'm asking you the same question. Would you have them do the same thing you did?
I wouldn't say so. I would say it's difficult. I think a lot of what I've done is right place at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
I think if someone were to start a YouTube channel today, not to say that it can't be done, because I don't think anything is impossible given circumstance and a whole lot of other factors, but it would be much more difficult for me to start what I did today, just because it's like everything's just been blown wide open.
I know, it's so hard.
It is, but I think there are other areas. It would not have made sense for me when I started. Instagram wasn't being used how it is today.
Right.
There's certain things nowadays. I would say Instagram may be a better vehicle for that. Snapchat may be something better, even though that's different because it's a little bit more of a private and personal entity. Even though I have like you can do. Nothing is going to be easy along the way, regardless of what you want to do.
Right.
If you want to do it or not, at least don't be miserable with the overall choice.
Who do people tell you you look like?
I get Puff Daddy. I get Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart's my favorite person
Okay.
on the planet. I just spoke to Nicole because she interviewed Kevin Hart.
Right.
Literally love the guy. Love everything about him.
Have you interviewed him?
No, he's like the one. Kevin Hart and like Michael J. Fox are like the two people I've never interviewed.
Kevin is a cool dude.
You've interviewed him.
I've interviewed him before. He's a cool dude.
I think you look just like him.
Just?
But there's also, when you were mentioning that, it's like a rhythm that he speaks in, at least when he does a stand-up.
Right.
And you had a little bit of that just now.
What,
I think
going?
That's
what, just going?
No, the way you were talking, he has like this rhythmic cadence.
Well, I know when he goes. It's like this.
Yes.
Right.
He's also not 6'4".
You see, but the other I'm not 6 foot. I barely crack 5'8".
Well, he barely cracks what, 5'4"?
But I don't even know how tall he is.
Yeah, it's true.
I look at him and go, that's a short dude, and I'm not a huge guy.
And he's like 5'5".
But here's the other thing. I pay very close attention, even growing up, to speech and speaking. Like I'm not like an avid reader. I like to take in information, so I'm not necessarily going to pick up a novel or anything like that. The closest thing I may pick up like a biography or something based on history, but I like to read. And it was hilarious. I had the speech professor, one of them told me, coming up in the Bronx, she said, "You're never going to go anywhere in life talking like that. This is how I talk." But I know, depending on what I need to do, I know the difference between talk and talk. And if I'm just shooting it with you, I'm not gonna, why should I change who I am?
Right.
It's a time and place for everything. So it's just ironic. But I pay close attention to how people speak. So that's why when you talk about the rhythm that Kevin speaks, I'm familiar with his cadence.
Sure.
Someone, Barack Obama, The Rock,
right.
Matt Damon, Jimmy Fallon. There's like, you can name someone and I can automatically go in my head and say, okay, this is how they deliver a particular message. This is how they try to get it across. That's weird, but it's...
No, it's not weird. It's part of what makes you the full package. You're
thank you.
focused on it, you get it, you want to make your craft better, and you're going after it, you're doing it.
Thank you.
All right, let me ask you a couple questions here.
Sure.
I watched the Celtics-Cavs game last night, which was just kind of an ugly game. Yeah.
I didn't even bother.
Wait, did you know how it was going to turn out? LeBron showed up.
I'm done with the NBA regular season. I'm finished.
You ready for it to happen?
Yeah, this has been one of the most anticlimactic NBA regular seasons ever.
Same story every single day.
Well,
every single day.
This is the first time in years that I did not buy League Pass.
Oh.
I did not get League Pass because it's like, okay, how many teams are actually if I have the time, but for me to actually say I want to sit down and watch this. Outside of Russell Westbrook, James Harden, and okay, how does Kevin Durant fit in with the guys in Golden State? It's almost like, what am I watching for? Okay, I can watch the highlights of. I can literally go on Instagram, and Bleacher Report and House of Highlights are sending me everything I need to see from Giannis Antetokounmpo in Milwaukee. I don't need to get the highlights and things like that.
So let's just skip right to the game then. It's just going to be Golden State and
the
Cleveland?
Cavs, even with Cavs with their terrible defense, maybe they'll get pushed. But you saw the game last night. They probably steamroll everybody. And the Celtics and the Raptors probably have the best chance.
Okay, so now does anyone have a chance of beating Golden State?
The Cavs, but
really?
I favor Golden State over them. I hope we get another 7 games. I think that'd be great.
And who's gonna walk away with the MVP this year?
I think Russell Westbrook.
Even if he doesn't get the record, he will.
Oh, I think he needs.
He needed 1 rebound last night.
But I think in total, I think they have 2 games, maybe 3 games left. I think he only needs 6 more assists total. Well, he will. That's well.
But he'll need another. He needs 1 more triple double.
Right. And they play. I think they play the Suns.
I don't know their schedule.
And the Suns have been. They don't play anything. It's just like pickup basketball. So he's gonna have ridiculous numbers. I think he's averaged 41 points against them this season.
Okay, so you say it's gonna be 10. Is Tony Romo gonna play football next year?
I don't think so. I think you step away for 1 year unless he's like really trying to be Brett Favre. I can't see it. And when you start having back issues and you getting his collarbone has been popped like 2 and 3 times, and he's watching him lay out on the field. He's gonna be like 38, 39. I think he's more brittle than Brett Favre when Brett Favre was out there.
Oh, 100%. Even
back.
with Brett broken, I felt more confident in him being out there and lasting a game.
Brett Favre appears even physically to look strong and sturdy, just as a football player. Tony Romo looks more athletic, being up and down. He doesn't have that same like stock solid build, and he just gets popped, and it's a wrap for him.
Are you all New York teams? Are your teams all the New York teams?
My favorite teams, unfortunately, outside of the New York Yankees, I like the New York Knicks and I like the Jets. But I'll root for the Mets. I'm happy for them. The Nets, I wish harm on them in that they never do well. I would cry if they ever won a title before the Knicks. I don't think that's something either one of them have to worry about for a while. But I like all the teams here.
Before we talk about the Jets, someone just mentioned about Tony Romo getting the CBS job. I know that. I still don't think that he's going to be a broadcaster next year. I think someone in training camp is going to lose their starting quarterback, and this was a good opportunity for Tony to get out from underneath the Cowboys' hold, and I think he's going to get talked into coming back and playing again.
Quite possibly. I don't know what team would bring him in on such short notice. It would have to be catastrophic. It would have to be a team that says
that completely loses their starting quarterbacks.
No,
and there's no one else
it has to be a star.
Yeah.
Maybe it's I don't know. There are a few teams. It's tough because even nowadays the quarterbacks they're not just drop back 3 times, 3 steps, 4 steps, 5, and just throw the ball. these dudes are running all over the place, and it seems like the offenses are much more open. And I think that's another reason why somebody like Tony Romo is almost cooked.
Yeah.
When you look at his replacement in Dallas, Dak Prescott, he can go out there and throw a pass, and he also knows how to run away and get away from somebody whooping him back.
And you think Dak can have a second year like the first?
Oh, impossible, I think. I don't want to, well, not impossible, very unlikely. Very unlikely. It's like lightning striking twice. Like, who would have expected that from him, and then also Ezekiel Elliott?
Right.
It's like, who gets two rookies in the NFL that just lead you guys to the playoffs? And people really thought, and there was a possibility for them to go to the Super Bowl. That does not happen. I'll give an example, and I'm not going to compare physically to someone like RG3. RG3, his first year, he threw like 20 touchdowns, had 5 interceptions as a rookie, running all over the place, and he got banged up. But that was almost impossible to do as a rookie. And where's his career now?
Right.
I'm not saying that's going to happen to Dak, but I cannot see him having the same type of year that he did. Especially now that teams will be a little bit more familiar with him. You're gonna have to roll with the punches there a little bit.
The Jets, are they gonna?
This is a loss
Anything
year.
gonna happen?
This is a year for the Jets to see. So who we got? They got luck. The Jets are another team that got lucky a few years ago when they brought in Todd Bowles and Mike McCannon and said, okay, we got to rebuild, and they automatically started winning. And then when you start winning, you don't go, okay, let's rebuild.
Right.
And they got caught with their pants down a little bit just by sticking with the vets. And thank God they did not give like Ryan Fitzpatrick that big contract. They would have been on a larger hook for it. That's why they gave him that 1 year, and we saw what basically happened. And now they really have to start. So that's like turning a car on and turning it off, and they're going to be doing that for a few years until they know who's going to drop the bus.
I like the teams you picked. They're a little bit untraditional.
Right. Generally, you go Yankees and then Giants.
And then you do Giants and Rangers and Knicks. But this is a little untraditional. I kind of like that. That's good.
Yeah, well, being from the Bronx is Yankees.
Okay. Easy.
The Knicks are the only game in town.
Okay.
And then, growing up with the Jets when I was younger, I remember Lawrence Taylor and everybody in the house. I think I kind of bucked the trend and said, well, who are these guys here, the Jets? I'm gonna go with the green guys. And then they were terrible, 1-15, and then they became good again with Vinny Testaverde and Wayne Corbett and guys like that. But yeah, they're the outliers here.
What about the other siblings in your family? Anyone doing what you're doing?
It's just myself.
Just you.
So my cousin has an interest in sports broadcasting. My family is really, everyone leans a little bit towards the arts. It's like folks are into fashion. A lot of the younger folks, my cousins, etc. We're just a little bit eccentric on the side. I have a cousin who's a few years younger than me that if she meets a girlfriend or something, she's just like, Tareen, just shut up. Like, just give her a space to breathe.
Yeah.
You don't have to be so crazy, but I love her to death. So it's fun. I got no complaints. Everybody's a little eccentric.
What's your week like? I know you're running from here.
Oh my God, what is my week like?
Yeah. See, I love just the fact that you have to cock your head back. Your schedule is jammed, isn't it?
Well, I have to make time to be creative and think of ideas and set time. It's like if I have a call at 9 o'clock and I expect it to be a 30-minute call, it runs into 10 o'clock when I have to run to a meeting and then also get something shot. And then if I'm doing something on SNY, that's part of the afternoon. There's an hour for pre-production, what we have to do on set, which is 30 minutes. And there's just always so much moving around. I mean, just over the next few weeks, I'm probably going to have to run to DC and Florida, still push out all the content, do the meetings. Part of the expansion of what I told you about is just like me. I'm working with a lot of athletes now to push out their own video shows that are a little bit more personable.
Oh, nice.
So that's something else that I do. So it's always, this is like my best friend right here.
And this?
Well, this too. Yeah, I try to make sure it always fits through the door.
Yeah.
And doesn't
Smart, man.
Doesn't have me fly away somewhere.
Smart. Keep yourself grounded.
Yeah, that's I look at everything, and personally, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a lawyer. I always view things from a people perspective. You know, I like working and dealing with good people. And if I can connect with you on a business level and you're a good person, and we have a home run. Because there's enough miserable behind people that are out here, and you know, I just like working with good people. So I never want to do anything or act like I'm better than it, because I'm not. You know, I just like having fun.
Nice.
If you don't like having fun, then stay over there. And if you're a jerk, then don't bother me. I can stay. If you think I'm a jerk, that's perfectly fine too. Stay over there. We can be jerks on both sides. Have to deal with each other.
How do people watch you, get in touch with you, all of it?
Everything is JRSportBrief. So Snapchat, Instagram, YouTube, just JRSportBrief everywhere with one S. Instagram, very easy to reach. Email is jrsportbrief@gmail.com.
Nice.
So I'm very accessible.
I love what you're doing. I love the way you did it. I love the way you continue to do it, and I love how level-headed you are about it.
Thank you.
And I love, my favorite thing is that you take time to figure out how to get better.
Yeah.
Right? You know in your head that you're a work in progress.
Yeah, no, there's never a factor of complacency. That's why I it don't matter what it is. I try to learn something every day. If you're not learning something or you think you know it all, you're really not going in.
What I tell you, Connor, every single day, you better go to sleep at night knowing a little bit more than you did when you woke up in the morning.
Yeah, people get stagnant. There's a lot of stagnant people walking around. I try to make it a habit to learn something, open up my ears, and just I want to take in more than I put out.
Awesome.
So,
Good for you.
Thank
you
you
so much for coming
no,
by.
I appreciate it.
Good luck with everything. Our paths are going to cross, undoubtedly.